first thing you're going to want to do is remove the panel down here, which we've already done. And up over here on this side, there's a little tube here. You get a Phillips head screwdriver, you open this up, and then coolant's going to start coming out. And it's generally going to spray a little bit. So before we open anything, one of the first things you need to do is go inside the car and turn the heater on maximum hot and leave it there for about 10 seconds and then turn the car off. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, got it. Yeah. Ignition is on, and we're going to hit the auto button, right? Or no, let's turn the dual thing off. Okay, we hit the auto, we turn off the AC, we increase the temperature. There we go. Okay, 90. And then we turn the fan speed down to 1 notch, like that. And we leave like that for a couple of seconds. And then we'll turn the car off. It's probably sufficient. Now regardless of whether the engine is hot or cold, you can open this and it will just vary with how much force the coolant comes out with. This engine's probably warm, but it's not hot. I don't have any major concerns here. You might want to squeeze back a little bit so you'll get more distance between yourself and this thing. Loosen this guy up here first. Fish that out. And now I have another tube here. This is, can you see this? This is a, I don't even know what size this is, but it seems to fit pretty well in place of the original one. So I'm going to take that one out. And I'll stick this one on instead. Alright, now you're going to want to squeeze back a little further. You can now focus on this point here, but move further back. Alright, so now when I open the radiator cap, you can hear me, right? Mm-hmm.
There it goes.
The coolant.
Yep.
And that way, none of the coolant comes out the top from the radiator cap. So you can come back up here now.
Okay.
Anyways, so I'm going to remove this cap all the way now, and that's pretty much it for this part. So here we're going to want to inspect the cap. You want to look at, can you see what I'm doing? Mm-hmm. Go into the light over here. You want to look for any deep grooves in the gasket. A lot of times you see stuff like this, they can just be wiped off. If it looks like it's in fairly decent shape, you also want to check the spring, make sure that it, you can point there. Check that, make sure that feels good. This should have some springiness to it as well. Should feel like pretty, normal kind of situation. If you see anything unusual, change the cap. Mm-hmm. So in order to bleed the rest of the system as part of the refill process, we need to open air bleeder valves. So the first one of these should be located over here on this hose. But as you can see, there is no bleeder there. I don't know why they took it out, but I would have preferred that they would have left it there and would have made it easier to bleed the system for the do-it-yourselfer. So I'm going to remove this section of air intake here to give access to the bleeder. There's another bleeder here, and you can just watch me do that. There we go. Get that. And then it's really tight on there. There we go. Yeah, so you just squeeze this little tab right here and pull up, and that takes care of it. Alright. So at this point we gotta loosen that guy. 8mm. Just peel it back. And just take the whole unit out. This guy down here. So this has an O-ring on it, and it's always preferable to replace these with new ones. Most of the time, I don't see these get replaced, and the ones on here are actually pretty beefy, and I haven't had any problems with not replacing them. I do have some in stock to put new ones on if if it's really needed, but I haven't seen any need for it. So we'll just leave these. This drain plug has the same type of situation going on. Let's take a look at the drain plug. Right here, it's right here. The radiator. Again, pretty much the same situation. These are actually the same O-rings as used on the first generation Gs, and I will actually go ahead and replace this one with a new one for a better fit. You can see this one's kind of flattened out a little bit. It probably won't create as good of a seal. So,
Okay.
yeah. So this is stuck on there, and this aluminum piece here is actually really fragile. So when you remove it, you kind of want to lightly grip the hose and just rotate like that, kind of wiggle it, break it loose. And once you got it loose, then you should be able to pull it right off, like that. We'll take the pliers here. Same process, just kind of I think this one might even be more fragile than the other one. It's plastic. Okay. And at this point you take your screws, pull them out, make sure you don't spill any of this, and this comes straight out. And take the screws, put them back in the original locations so we don't lose them. What I like to do next is I take this tube here, stick it on here, and that way it creates a completely sealed system, so nothing can spill out. So, and then you shake it, and any loose debris or sediment or anything that's in there, it's going to get broken loose by this shaking action. Agitation, and you just pour it out in the disposal here. You can also do this. Kind of get that hose flushed out a little bit. That pretty much takes care of it. Okay. Now we just reinstall this unit. Oops. I'll have to fish that out. this way. Can't do it with my hands full. So this right here, you're probably going to want to clean that up a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect, just maybe just a little bit. Radiator hose grease. And this stuff's pretty cool. People say that, some people I've talked to that don't use it say that they think it is going to cause leaks because it allows the hose to move around. But I've found that it never does that. In fact, I think it causes the opposite. It does allow the hose to move freely, but at the same time, it provides for a better seal. So I like this stuff a lot. And this is actually kind of flimsy anyway, so not really too much you can do there. That'll do the job. Just gotta bolt that down. We got our new O-ring here, and now we're going to install it. So when you do this one, you just kind of snug it down. It doesn't have to be super tight. And you put this guy back on. That's it for that part. Okay. Yeah. So as we fill the coolant, it's going to start pouring out of this little hole right here. You see that hole? It's going to come out of there. So what I'm going to do, so it doesn't just pour down, I'm going to get a little hose. This is a 5/8 inch 16 millimeter premium heater hose. So I'm just going to stick that over here. Like that. And then now, if you look down there, you can see it's directed just kind of straight down, so it's not going to leak all over the place. So I've got the bucket positioned right underneath where that hose is. So it should just come straight down into the bucket, or mostly. So next we need to install the spill-free funnel onto the neck of the radiator. Demonstrate the use of that. The adapter you're going to need is this one here. It says B on it. So just wipe it off and install it. Take this adapter up here, seat that in. This is how we're going to pour the coolant in. So over here, I have a mixture of distilled water and factory NISSAN coolant, green, and it's an exact 50-50 mixture. Do not use tap water; it's going to leave scale and reduce cooling effectiveness. I usually fill it halfway. It makes it easier to pour. And now we just pour the coolant in at a relatively slow pace to give the air a chance to escape so we don't get any extra air trapped in the cooling system. and we're just going to do this until it starts spilling out of the air relief hole on the top of the radiator over there. Or you can turn it off. So I'm going to apply some radiator hose grease to the O-ring here as well. And we're going to reinstall it right here. Pull this guy off. Okay. You see in there? Yeah. Install this guy here. And get the screwdriver. Alright, and now we're going to continue filling the coolant. In the case that you don't have air relief plug back there, tough luck. And you're going to have to fill it without that and be extra careful bleeding. Tough luck. Let's see what happens here. I'm going to keep pouring the rest of this in. So apparently you can keep pouring this even without the air relief plug, and at some point it's going to start coming out at the top here. We haven't reached that. Oh, getting close. There we go, now we're starting to get close to the top. You can see the coolant is kind of sitting there. So at this point we're going to go ahead and start the engine after we've reinstalled the rest of the air intake, and we're going to wait for the engine to reach a certain temperature at which the thermostat will open, and we'll have it do that twice. And while we're doing that, we're going to make sure the coolant level doesn't get too low and doesn't get too high. So in case you end up spilling any coolant, you want to make sure you wash it all off the belts. You don't want any coolant on the belts or any other part of the car, really. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the step where I start the car, and I think that this coolant level that's in here now, I think that's actually going to get a lot lower when the water pump starts moving things around. So I'm going to make sure as soon as I start the car, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to top that up, and you really don't want it to get too high, because as the engine coolant will get hotter, it will actually expand, and it's, in some cases, if you put too much, it can actually overflow from this container. So I'm going to go ahead and start it, and can you hold this with the other hand? Here. Actually taking a lot. There it goes. Alright, now it's going to be kind of popping and bubbling from one point to another. There it goes. Keep sucking it down. Yeah, I guess it's a good thing. All right. Yeah, still going down. coolants. Come over here. You can see the coolant level right there on the side. Put that right there. You can see it's kind of moving around a little bit right there. You see it?
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like it's dropping anymore. So, but as the car's running, air bubbles are going to come out and they're going to kind of fly out to the top. And so we don't want them spraying on the hoses and the belts. So I'm just going to leave this over here for a little bit. Now I'm going to rev the engine, and we're going to get it hot, get the rest of the air bubbles out. And our goal here is to have the thermostat open twice. And the way we'll know that is that the lower radiator hose will be hot to the touch. That's our goal there. Alright, pause. So, over here, you just grab this hose over here and it should be hot. And I am feeling a lot of heat coming off that hose, which tells me that that the thermostat has been open and the coolant's been circulating. So, I think that's it. Now we can turn it off and be on our way. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is transfer the excess coolant that's in here into the reservoir. And the way that's done is you take this little plunger thing and you squeeze lightly on the hose, just enough so that when you remove this guy, nothing's going to spill out. Can you see in there? Okay. So I'm going to squeeze a little bit, I'm going to install that, and then I'm going to let go. Now I'm just going to lift this up, and there we go. Open that up. Put those in there, and now this guy can come out. All right, now we're going to top that off just a little bit. Okay. Spilled another drop down there. God damn it. Now it's hot. I think it was just a drop. But I don't think it's enough. It's hot. Might just have to spray some water down there. Now, as far as the reservoir itself, I'm going to pour in coolant. Until we get above the full mark, because it still will pull more coolant in over time. Let's see where we're at now. Right now we're a little above max. Can you see where max is on there? It's actually right over here. There's some writing on the sides. That's max right over there. Can you see it? So I'm going to pour just a little bit more in, I think. Right over there, I think, probably good. So over time, when the car heats up, it should be at max or above. And when the car is cold and you're not driving anywhere and it's just parked, then it should be at max. Well, really, between min and max is where it should be. So at this point, ready to drive the car, and most of the air is out of the system. In a couple of trips, and it'll be all out. Recommend keeping the heater on. And that's about it.